Helen Yee here in San Jose for Bellator 266 Fight Week, being joined by the man of the hour, Mr. Big John McCarthy. Now, looking at the card tomorrow, obviously everyone is looking forward to Yoel Romero's Bellator debut. But besides that, when you look at the fight card, which fight are you looking forward to the most?
I got to tell you, I'm looking forward to Jorge Masvidal versus Sal Rogers. I think that's going to be a barn burner fight. I think both of them were 145-pound featherweights that were killing themselves to get to that weight. And fighters are really starting to learn that, you know what, being able to feel good and to perform at a weight that you're not killing yourself to get to is going to be better for them. Jorge has proved that in his last 4 fights. I think he's 3-1, and he had one very close split decision loss to Miles Jury, so he could have been 4-0. And they're learning that, you know what, I'm better being the heavier fighter and having energy, feeling good. So we're going to see how Sal Rogers comes into this. This is his first time back at 155. I think that fight's going to be a barn burner.
Well, someone we haven't seen in Bellator in a while, Dillon Danis, do you think that we'll ever see him kind of return and fight again?
I have no idea what Dillon is doing as far as what he wants. Yeah. Because the opportunity for him to fight is there. It's just, he's got some injuries at times, but you have to want to fight. And when you are his age and you have 2 professional fights, that's not saying that you really want to be a professional fighter looking for a world title. Yeah. That's saying that you're using this to get yourself somewhere else, and that's okay. He can do that, but I haven't seen the commitment to being that professional fighter.
Well, there's always so much going on in the MMA world. Just yesterday, Carlos Condit announced his retirement, and the day before that, Joe Benavidez, 2 legends and great people in the sport, kind of announcing back-to-back. Were you surprised by that?
No, I wasn't. I'm very happy for Joe. Joe had his title runs, and they never worked out for him. He's a fantastic guy. He was a fantastic fighter. He was always that guy that you knew was right there at the championship level and could take that title at any time. It just didn't work out for him, and that's going to happen. He was still an unbelievable MMA fighter, and he's got a lot to give to the sport still. His wife is very much involved in it. He's going to stay involved in it. So I think it's great. It's just going to be the next chapter of his life coming up. And then with Carlos, I will tell you, Carlos was, in my opinion, a special guy. No one knew who he was. He really, made his name going to Hawaii and fighting in those events that they had. They had the Icon events. I'm not sure if he ever did a Rumble on the Rock, but it was close where he was in that realm. And man, he just showed that he was good everywhere. And he was one of those guys that there's very few. I always say there's mixed martial arts fighters, they put on a persona. They do all this, stuff, but they're not mean people. They're good at fighting. Carlos had that mean side. He could turn that on, and he was in the cage. He was a mean dude, and then he would turn it off as soon as he walked out. Just a great person. He had an unbelievable career. You couldn't ask anything more. He was the interim champion. He did everything you could ask for. Congratulations on just a wonderful career.
Yeah, absolutely. Very well said. And looking at that welterweight division, Jorge Masvidal and Leon Edwards, they were kind of going back and forth a bit on Twitter. Do you think that they should fight each other next, even though I don't think Leon wants that?
That fight is so set up as far as it's the 3-piece in a soda fight. It's the one where, Masvidal was in the back. He had the big win against Till and the little exchange, and they kind of had, a couple of shots were thrown there, and it's there. It's there to make that fight, but you got to get both fighters wanting to have it, and right now it seems that, Leon doesn't want that fight. He wants a title shot. I don't blame him for that, but it's a fight I would love to see. I think it'd be fantastic.
Yeah, and I think all the fans would definitely love that as well. And speaking of the fans, and someone that a lot of them are kind of talking about, a bit controversial topic, actually, Alana McLaughlin, the transgender, she made her debut last week. Just kind of wanted to get your take on what you make of that whole situation.
Oh, that'll just get me all in trouble because no matter what I say, I can't win with it. So it's
so lose. I'm sorry.
It's perfect. No, it's really, there's a lot to it, and I've done a lot. I did a lot with the California State Athletic Commission on their transgender program. Yeah. And setting things up, because here's the thing, I do not personally care. If someone is a man and wants to be a woman because that's what they believe they are inside, great, do it. if you're a woman, you want to be great, do it. I don't. It doesn't mean anything to me. That's your life, and you have to be happy. And whatever's going to make you happy makes me happy. The real problem is when you get into the crossover, not so much of the woman turning into the man, but when you have the man who's going to transgender into a woman and then wants to fight, there are things about being a man that are different than being a woman, and there are advantages that you could look at and say, that person needs so much time before they're allowed to fight in that weight class and against that sex of person where it becomes more even. You don't want to have these advantages. It's almost like when, some fighters are taking performance-enhancing drugs. It can be looked at in that fashion. It doesn't mean that's what they're doing, but they are having to take drugs. No matter what, there's estrogen involved. There's a lot of different things going on. So it really needs to be broken down by the medical staffs of the regulatory commissions, that they have a set standard of time and what is expected of the fighter, of the person themselves, for them to be able to compete. I think once you give them that standard and it's there, that will help them. It will help everyone in understanding it, and that way it can be done in a safe and efficient manner.
But lastly, for the fans who can't wait for Bellator 266 tomorrow, what would you like to let them know?
I think this is going to be a fantastic main event fight. The Phil Davis and Yoel is such a great matchup, because if you look at Phil Davis, Phil doesn't get enough credit for being as good as he is. He's lost to basically 4 people in his life as far as the fighters, guys that were all champions except for Anthony Rumble Johnson is the only one that wasn't a champion that he lost to. And this is a guy who's so good at MMA and being the guy that's in control of it. His wrestling is so good, but he doesn't wrestle. This is the first time I could actually say, going into a fight, he's going against someone that has better credentials in the wrestling category than he does. And how's he going to deal with that? Is that going to change the way he approaches the fight? Is that going to change the way he wants to, push the pace on someone? Is the age factor of Yoel? There's so many unknown, things about this, so many unanswered questions. It makes the fight really intriguing. And just Yoel is that guy. Yes, he's 44 years of age. I'm 58. I am 58. He's 44 biologically, but if you look at him, he's 31. He's just put together and he's in shape and he's incredible. So he pushes all that to side, kind of like Randy Couture used to do. So Phil's facing a real guy, a guy that is just super powerful, super explosive. It's going to be a toss-up fight, and that's the way it should be.